A federal judge has thrown out the criminal indictments against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, or Tish James, if you will, ruling that the prosecutor who brought the case was not lawfully appointed. Oh yeah, we went there. Judge Cameron McGowan Currie found that Lindsey Halligan, President Trump's handpicked interim U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, had exceeded her legal limits of her appointment, making all actions she took in that role invalid, including all the indictments. The judge stressed that the ruling focuses on the legality of Halligan's position, not whether Comey or James were innocent of the underlying allegations. They still aren't essentially absolved, but the process was bad. Halligan is a former insurance lawyer and a one-time personal attorney for Donald Trump. She was installed after previous U.S. Attorney Eric Sabbert reportedly resisted bringing charges against Trump's political rivals. Judge Currie ruled that Halligan's interim appointment came after the 129-day window allowed the law had expired, and meaning the Justice Department had no longer the authority to name her without any Senate confirmation. She ran out the clock a little too well. Because she alone signed the indictments against Comey and James, the court concluded that the cases were tainted from the beginning. Legal analysts note that the decisions could have ripple effects for other prosecutions handled by Halligan and raises new questions about the polarization of federal prosecution appointments under Trump. New questions? Oh, we've been asking those questions for quite some time. Let's go back to the actual charges. He was charged, Comey, in Virginia, with making false statements to Congress and obstructing a congressional proceeding tied to his 2020 testimony about the FBI's investigation into the Russian interference in the 2016 election. Make sense? Next is Letitia James, who had a separate federal case accusing her of bank fraud and making false statements to a financial institution related to a mortgage on property she purchased in Norfolk, Virginia. Both pleaded not guilty and called the prosecutions politically motivated, reprisals for their past roles investigating and for prosecuting Donald Trump. With today's ruling, the indictments are dismissed without prejudice, meaning the Justice Department could try again with a properly appointed prosecutor if all the I's are dotted and T's are properly crossed. Though the statute of limitations is a little sketchy, making it far less likely for Comey's case to happen because the time on the clock is literally running down to that one. Both Comey and James welcomed the decision, saying it proved the charges were built on an unlawful foundation. Even the judge did not rule on the facts of the case themselves. Progressives and civil rights groups, especially those supporting black women in leadership, ups for James, framed the outcome as a blow to what they saw as weaponized prosecution against Trump critics. On the other side, the pro-Trump media figures and MAG influencers reacted with anger, accusing the judge of protecting the deep state and calling dismissal a mere technicality, because remember, they can refile. Coverage in outlets like Newsweek and New York Post highlight that the ruling deepens partisan divides over whether the Justice Department is being used to punish enemies or shield its allies, depending on which side you actually want to believe. The Justice Department must now decide whether to appeal Judge Currie's ruling or attempt to re-indict, likely under a new, properly confirmed prosecutor. Legal experts say that an appeal could be risky because a higher court might issue a broader decision limiting how administrators can use interim appointments for sensitive political cases. The dismissal also feeds into a larger debate where critics of Trump say this episode shows how far his team are willing to bend rules to target enemies. And his allies, they insist the courts, our legal systems are basically stacked against them. Regardless of political spin, the case shines a bright light on the importance of following appointment rules exactly to the letter, especially when bringing high-profile prosecutions to the case and current or former public officials who are very much going to fight them back. People looking on the bright side of the judge's decision see that the ruling upholds the rule of law by insisting that even politically powerful presidents must follow strict procedures when appointing prosecutors, especially in cases involving their critics. They argue that dismissing the indictments protect defendants, no matter who they are, from being tried by officials who lack the proper authority, is a word we can use here, and may actually help restore some trust that courts can actually act as a check on politically motivated prosecutions, which it has not been such a check for a while. Meanwhile, on the other side of that coin, critics contend that the tossing of this case on what they see as a technicality let some powerful figures avoid full airings of serious allegations in court. You don't get to hear everything that happened, and it leaves many questionings the issues and many questions unanswered for all of us. They warn that the decision could make it harder to hold top officials accountable in the future and may deepen public criticism. And since each side can now claim the justice system is both against them, being weaponized and rigged, it's just a whole big old cluster for all of us going forward. What does this mean for all of us going forward? It does not mean Comey is gone, unfortunately, because I'm sure he'll show up somewhere. Letitia James still working, trying to get things done. So they're not exactly done with their careers and their work. What that does mean is this case, for the moment, has been flubbed. The lawyer, for the moment, has been bounced. And Trump, for just a slight moment, has been thwarted.